Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast. I'm John Romero of the Washington Post. It is week 4 of the NFL season, and I'm here with the fantasy football cheat sheet for the upcoming weekend. Now, for those of you looking for advice or want to follow me on Twitter for fantasy football news and notes, you can follow me at John_J_Romero. Now, a quick look back at the picks I had for week 3. Mostly so-so. I basically put Kelvin Benjamin out there as this was kind of a do-or-die weekend. Either he produced against the Saints secondary or he didn't. Not only did he not produce, he got banged up. So Kelvin Benjamin owners are kind of not liking things right now as the season progresses. I had T.Y. Hilton. I thought it was a make-or-break weekend for him. I said keep him in the lineup, and he produced. And so moving forward, I think Hilton is going to stay a weekly play because he's just been a guy who has been a regular play in years past. He only became a bit questionable with Andrew Luck out and the Colts offense looking a bit anemic. The other picks for last week included Lamar Miller. I really didn't give a suggestion. I said for some teams he has to be used, and other teams, if you have better options, you could bench him. And so hopefully that was enough for advice for those owners who had him on the fence. Now, I also had one long shot that did not produce, and that's Rashard Higgins of the Cleveland Browns. He had a very quiet weekend. So kind of give myself about 1.5 stars out of 4. Now, turning to week 4, and who do I like and not like this weekend? Well, let's start in Philadelphia. The Eagles are now without Darren Sproles, who broke his arm, and who knows when he's going to be back. In the meantime, LeGarrette Blount owners probably have to like their chances, especially this weekend. He's breached double digits twice in the first 3 weeks, almost put up a 0 in the week he didn't. So he's kind of a feast or famine. At least for this week, I think you got to roll with it. And not only is the Sproles injury going to boost, hopefully, his production, but the Eagles are facing the Chargers, who are ranked 31st in the NFL against the rush this season. So LeGarrette Blount owners, put him in the lineup and see what happens this weekend. The second player I'd like to focus on is Amari Cooper. He's kind of in that T.Y. Hilton territory of last week where he hasn't produced, even though he's been a fantasy stalwart, and you're getting to that point in the season where, hey, is this guy a matchup play given his situation? Now, in Hilton's case, it was a matter of Andrew Luck has been out. In the Raiders' case, there's not really much of an excuse. Certainly, opposing defenses are focusing on Cooper. Michael Crabtree has been the beneficiary, but Crabtree's outscored Cooper for 3 straight years, so that really shouldn't be a surprise. Now, the offense was held in check last week. I expect a bit more of a spirited effort this week against division rival Denver, but it is still a tough matchup for Cooper. I have him in one league, and I have some options where I might sit him. Not everybody has that, so he's a very tough guy to sit because the time you finally do say, hey, I'm going to take a week here and let's see him produce first, that's the week he usually does it. But so I'm kind of on the fence here, kind of like with Lamar Miller last week. For owners that could afford somebody else in there, you might want to go that route. If for owners that don't really have better options, obviously you got to stay the course with Amari Cooper. This week's video is running a little long, so I'll try to hurry through my last 2 picks. One of my other picks in the On the Fringe is Bilal Powell of the New York Jets. Now, it looks like Matt Forte is going to be questionable, may not play this weekend. Powell is one of these guys who a lot of time the Jets don't really use at the beginning of the season. Then more and more he becomes a bigger part of the offense as the season goes on. I think we're starting to see that sign. Jets are starting to show a little more offense, and so I like Powell this weekend. Now, one of my long shot plays is Andre Ellington of the Cardinals. We saw him pick up some of the pace for the Arizona backfield last week. Not too great on the ground, about 22 yards, but he did have 5 receptions for nearly 60 yards. So in a PPR league, he probably scored in the double digits last week. But they're playing the Niners. They're at home. We saw the big week Todd Gurley had last week against San Francisco. If you're in need of a flex play or you got somebody injured, what have you, Ellington could do decently. So there it is for week 4. Again, I'm John Romero of the Washington Post, and this is going to do it for the fantasy forecast and the cheat sheet for NFL's week 4. We hope to see you next week. Again, if you want to follow me on Twitter, at John_J_Romero. Good luck this weekend.